Now, the tragedy of Tyre Nichols' death is a painful reminder for some families about the importance of talking about race and discrimination with our children. An LA-raised children's book author is hoping that her Inspired to Be book series can help all families have those difficult conversations about our differences. Author Crystel Patterson joining us live this morning to talk about these books. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So have to ask, what inspired you to write this series, which is Inspired to Be?
Yes, and it's a quite similar incident, actually, that you just showed about Tyre Nichols, God rest his soul. It was my children asking questions about George Floyd in 2020 after he was murdered. My 8-year-old son actually asked me a very provocative question. He asked me, "Mommy, why do police keep killing Black people?" And that was a question that literally shocked me to the core. And quite frankly, I could not think of an answer to tell my 8-year-old Black child that would not make him fearful of the police. So that was really frustrating to me. But on the bright side, in observing my younger son, who was 3 at the time, and his relationship with books, it made me realize that there was an opportunity for me to write books that would tell enjoyable and memorable stories, like some of his favorite books that are so memorable, but also that had important and meaningful messages so that children could hear and be inspired by stories that would inspire them in so many different ways, but more importantly, stories that would depict Black people and Black main characters, so that Black children and non-Black children alike could see positive representation of Black people. And so I decided that I was going to write this book series to spread Black inspiration to all children. That's what I always say. And while I cannot solve police brutality on Black people, unfortunately, I hope that my books would amplify the stories where Black people are thriving and having a lot of success, because I really hope to counterbalance some of these negative stories that our kids have to see and focus on. And that's the main reason why my books are all inspired by real people.
And it's so needed. Incredible to hear the backstory there. You just released the latest in the series, Inspired to Be Too Young to What? Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so Too Young to What is really meant to inspire children to dream big, no matter their age. It provides 10 real-life examples of children who have done extraordinary things despite their age. And it's kind of a follow-up to my first book, which is called One Flip, Two Flip, Three Flip, Four. It has that similar message about dreaming big, but it focuses on one character specifically. But the message is that when you find something that you love doing, try to take it seriously. You know, practice, train, study, do whatever you need to do to get better at it. Set goals for yourself and dream big, because you can do anything that you set your mind to. And it really shows the importance also of children having a strong support system in place to help them pursue their goals. So like you can see, as Ruby, the main character in this story, as she is growing up, you see her surrounded by a village of people who are helping her achieve what she dreams of.
Now,
I can talk. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, we've been talking a bit during this conversation about Tyre Nichols. Of course, it's front and center right now. And you think, as a parent, having the talk, and the talk being that talk, can these books help with that? And what suggestions do you have on beginning that discussion with your kids?
Yeah, so first of all, my thoughts and prayers really go out to the family and friends of Tyre Nichols and everyone that's hurting by this awful tragedy. My books can't help with those conversations. To answer the question directly, this is a challenging topic, though, because I know there are going to be differences of opinions on when is the appropriate age to start having these conversations with children. In my situation, my son initiated the conversation when George Floyd was murdered. So clearly he was paying attention then, more than I thought he was. And I believe, and I would dare to say, that many children are still paying attention today with everything that's going on with Tyre Nichols. So my advice would be to just start early and make it an ongoing conversation so that your children get comfortable with this topic. You find ways to just make it an age-appropriate conversation, use the right language and examples so that they could really understand and comprehend, and then really encourage them to ask questions and listen to how they're feeling and what they're sharing about how they feel about the situation. And I would even say outside of these conversations, it's just important to always emphasize having empathy and being respectful and appreciating diversity and differences in others. I think it's important for kids to learn that at a very young age, and they learn from us. So be that example for them so that they can follow what you model.
You know, in going through the I Am Different book, I mean, I'm excited to share this with my son, who's 4. How do you think this can have, an impact for, white children, families not of color?
Yeah, so all my books are written from like this universal lens, right? It's a universal message. That book is about just embracing and appreciating the things that make us and other people different. And so when a child who is not Black reads that, though the main characters are Black, that is a message that should hit home because I go into schools all the time and I just see how the students respond to that message regardless of the race, the color of their skin, right? And there are conversation starters in there also to help children who really want to dig deep and have that conversation about being different.
Okay, you mentioned going into school, so how can teachers, how can parents find your books?
Yeah, so my books are available on my website. They're also available on any platform where books are sold. Educators can contact me through my website or directly info@crystelpatterson.com if you are interested in having me come in and speak to the students or just interested in getting the books in general.
Okay, Crystel Patterson, we thank you for the time and sharing the books with us this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.